All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys, we'd like to welcome you to the show. This is your host of the evening, DJJustJayOK with Just Don TNT. Here we go, guys. I have a very, very special update for you guys. We got a couple of really nice videos coming up, okay? This story is about the police officer out of Chicago, and I don't know if you guys remember this video or not. I am going to refresh your guys' memory about what happened between this police officer on my left-hand side or on your right-hand side of the screen. And he was found guilty recently of murdering Laquan McDonald. And you guys know a lot of times with these court cases, it takes a long time from the time that they start, from the time that charges are presented, from the evidence that needs to be presented, from the investigation and all of this stuff. And we actually have a verdict on this gentleman here. This is Jason Van Dyke. So if you guys are not familiar with him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start this thing off with a video to remind you guys who he actually is. Before I do that, I'm going to give you guys the fair usage, and then I'm going to remind you guys who he actually is to kind of refresh you guys' memory, okay? So here we go. Let me go ahead and get the fair usage up on the screen, and let's get started. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Yes, some people ought to remember hashtag 16 shots, 16 shots, 16 shots. So if you guys did not get a chance to see that, I'm going to not only show you what happened in court, but I'm going to show you this. This is one of the original news stories, so you guys will understand what happened, so you can get the context without me doing a bunch of reading. So here we go.
Closing arguments begin tomorrow in the trial of Jason Van Dyke. Van Dyke is the first Chicago police officer to be charged with first-degree murder since 1980 for firing 16 shots into 17-year-old Laquan McDonald in 2014, all of it captured on dashcam video. The city of Chicago refused to release the footage for more than a year. When it finally got out, it galvanized activists, pushed out a police superintendent and a state's attorney, damaged the careers of other officers, and certainly didn't help Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who now is not running for a third term.
It's 4 more years for our children, not 4 more years for me.
Van Dyke's defense has tried to get the jury to see things from his literal perspective, emphasizing the fear that he felt and the fast-paced decisions that he had to make. Officers often don't testify, fearing self-incrimination, and knowing that often juries side with them anyway. But yesterday, Van Dyke took the stand.
How close did he get to you?
He got probably about 10 to 15 feet away from me. He turned his torso towards me.
And what, if anything, did he do with his arm?
He waved the knife from his lower right side upwards, across his body, towards my left shoulder.
And when he did that, what did you do, officer?
I shot him.
Prosecutors say the video shows McDonald veering in a different direction, and that at no point does he raise the 3-inch knife in his hand. When asked why he continued to fire, even when the teen hit the ground, Van Dyke insisted that he thought McDonald was going to get back up, and that the dashcam video doesn't show his perspective. But the video seems to show someone lifeless on the ground. To many, the difference between what Van Dyke says and what's seen in the video is pretty outrageous. Reverends James Moody and Jeanette Wilson are some of the many people who've watched this trial closely.
My concern is that there is an attempt to play on the emotions of the jury as opposed to dealing with the facts.
Do you think Laquan McDonald has been put on trial in some way?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It brought
yes.
prior bad acts of a juvenile who did nothing that night. He didn't threaten anyone. He never made any of the other officers feel like they were in harm's way. I wanted to know, did he cry after the first shot? Did he cry when he saw the boy on the ground? When did you cry that night, since you have so much compassion?
The jury could start deliberating as early as tomorrow. The Chicago Police Department told Vice News that they're ready for anything and that they've already prepared officers to take on 12-hour overtime shifts. Activists have been preparing for months for what they're going to do if Jason Van Dyke is acquitted.
It's going to be an uproar. I think the city is going to come out en masse. I don't want violence, but, you know, when emotions, you can't stop everybody from doing what they want to do. I just hope they don't tear up their own communities.
Do you think that this will change anything, this trial?
I mean, it may, for us, you got to think, Jason Van Dyke even being prosecuted over the national scale of things, very seldom do they even get to this point.
So is that a victory?
It's a victory in itself, but we need a conviction and we need a sentence that reflects the loss of life.
And this is why I'm taking notes as this thing is going, guys. I have something very, very poignant to tell you guys about what I just saw, because we got a lot more coming. What's up to everybody? I can't say hi to everybody now, which is why I usually try to do it in the beginning, but I see you guys in the chat. I'm going to say hi to you guys real quick. Let me give a shout out to my guy Carlos. Sent a donation through. He always does, and he always just leaves it as blank as far as the message. That's just showing love and support for the show. Thank you so much to my brother Carlos. Also to Karen, big time, Karen, from my heart to yours. Thank you so much, Karen, for also showing love. Thank you guys so much, man. We got 4 people that always show love to the show and felt it necessary to continue to support what we do here in a financial way. And I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you so much. Okay. But there's a lot more to this. There's a lot of layers to this. Okay, guys. Let me see. It's just frustrating. Yes, it is. Because I'm going to tell you guys something. We can go back and we can look at the actual footage of the actual shooting. And I'm going to tell you guys, I remember when it first happened. And I thought that it was BS from the jump. I really do. I'm just like, this was outright murder. And you guys know that I'm not always on the side of our people when it comes to the things that we do, when it comes to us putting ourselves in certain positions. In this case, I was totally in defense of the young man in this situation. He was walking in a direction away from the officers, not walking towards them. I feel like this was outright murder by the police, straight up and down. There's just absolutely no excuse for this. So what we're looking at not only is a testament to how important it is to have video nowadays, you know, but just also how corrupt things are in Chicago. And the reason I say that is because, number one, you have Rahm Emanuel, who's not going to be running again because there's a lot of pressure up against him, and rightfully so. Even if he was to run again, I think that Chicago should vote him out, period. Get the Democrats out of there. They're not doing anything for you. And I want people to understand, even though there was a guilty verdict that was read, I want people to understand this, that watch this video. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up while you're watching it. Also, please, if you have not already done so, scroll to the bottom, hit the thumbs up, and let's finish watching this thing, okay? Understand that Chicago has won this singular battle. This is the first police officer that was tried and convicted. The first in 50 years. Good for them, right? You win the battle, but they're losing the war in the street. Why? Because black people are still killing each other in the streets. Black Lives Matter. Good for you guys. You guys got a victory against the police, right? But if black lives really matter, then black people have to start being accountable for their own lives and stop taking their own lives. Let's keep going.
The video of Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke shooting Laquan McDonald 16 times was enough for prosecutors to charge him with first-degree murder. But tonight, newly released documents detail the very different story Chicago police officers told right after McDonald was killed. Here's Anna Werner.
In this video, 17-year-old Laquan McDonald is seen walking away from officers before he's shot by Officer Jason Van Dyke. But at least 4 officers claimed to investigators that McDonald was moving toward Van Dyke. Van Dyke himself said McDonald swung a knife at him and continued to advance. Another officer said McDonald got closer and closer to the officers. At no time does the video show McDonald approaching the officers. It does show after Van Dyke shot McDonald, the 17-year-old lay prone on the pavement as the shots continued, 16 rounds in 14 seconds. But some officers' accounts sound quite different. At least 2 claimed McDonald was attempting to get up while still armed with the knife. Van Dyke faces murder charges. He told investigators he feared for his life. He also told them he had seen this, a 2012 bulletin warning officers of a weapon which appeared to be a knife but was actually capable of firing a bullet. Van Dyke's attorney had no comment on the discrepancies between the reports and the video.
16 shots in the cover-up.
The release of the reports follows demonstrations and accusations of a police cover-up. On Tuesday, Mayor Rahm Emanuel fired the city's police superintendent, but that hasn't satisfied some opponents.
There are calls for the mayor to resign. Did you consider that?
No. We have a process. It's called the election. The voters spoke.
The shooting is under investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Anna Werner, CBS News, New York.
So here we go, guys. This has been a culmination of all these years from then to now. And again, I'm gonna remind you guys, some people might look at this and say, we've won this battle. Yes, they have won a singular battle. Now, I would really applaud these people, these protesters, these activists, Black Lives Matter and anybody else that's on board with this, and say that this is a victory. We fought hard for this conviction. I would pat you on the back only if they fought this hard for the criminals and thugs and innocent black men that are still dying in the streets every day in Chicago. I'm going to tell you guys how bad it is before I play the next video. It's so bad. Shout out to my guy Rick Rooster, who put me on game. There is actually a website dedicated to just calculating the amount of violence in Chicago. It's like a tally sheet, just putting marks down, another murder, another murder, another murder, another murder, another murder, another murder, another one. Dozens and dozens and dozens of murders just being thrown onto this website to just keep up. We are preoccupied with this one murder by one police officer who made a fucked up choice in judgment. Do not get me wrong. By no means am I taking up for this cop. I hate when people get in my comment section and they act like they didn't hear what I said. They miss points. They don't understand being able to look through things and understand what I'm really saying. I'm not excusing the officer by any means. What he did was wrong. I'm sorry. Shooting at a person twice probably would have been too much, period, if you thought your life was in danger. Personally, in this situation, there should have been no shots fired. That dude was not coming at them, not going in their direction, going away from them once he saw them show up. Number 2, he decided to fire, which I believe was an error in judgment. That in itself, even one time, even 2 times, but I think it's more egregious. You shot 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, 11 times, 12 times, 13 times, 14 times, 15 times, 16 fucking times. In 14 seconds of somebody that was not within arm's distance of barely even a baseball throw's distance. He was in no imminent danger at all. That cop did not fear for his life at all. He wanted to kill somebody, and I'm going to tell you guys something. He damn near got away with it. Rahm Emanuel, as well as the police department and everybody in power, tried to hide this video. The video existed. They tried to hide it. That's exactly what they did. If this video did not come out, the cop walks. The black man dies, and the city then again loses. But does it even matter? Niggas is still shooting each other down in the street every fucking day. So what difference does it even matter? You got vindication for one life. What about the dozens of others that are dying every day? Do those lives not matter? Do those sons and daughters and mothers and fathers and cousins and relatives and people of those skin hues that are similar to mine, lighter, darker, do those lives not matter? Because they weren't taken by a cop? Because they weren't taken by someone that is non-black? Do they not matter? I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there. Here's the court video. Let me go ahead and give another shout out real quick. We had 2 more people that sent some love through. So I'm going to stop the show and give these people a shout out for continuing to support the platform. Number 1, to my brother, said that had to be that cop first time shooting someone. Keep up the great work, Jay. Super T, I love you, my brother. Thank you so much for always showing love, Super T. Thank you. And also to says sharing a little as I get it. Much love, or excuse me, much appreciation of your truth. I truly appreciate the intolerance of racism a lot. We're under attack, and it's been shown it's okay to do to whites, and it hurts. I 100% agree. Kim W., thank you very much. I definitely, wait a minute, hold on. Is that, let me make sure. Come on. Let me make sure I got the name right. I'm sure I got that name wrong. But you know who you are. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and watch this court video. This is what you guys came for. It's a little bit lengthy, so you guys kick back, get you something to drink. Oh, Mimi Loves. That's right. I knew I was reading that name wrong. Mimi Loves. Thank you very much. Okay, I hope the audio fixes here in a moment.
On the inner part of the courtroom, you will be arrested immediately and taken into custody. The reason, let me give you the reason for this. We have these wonderful people and our alternates here who have taken the time out of their life, and we all know just we come back from a small vacation or some kind of work trip, and now we have to catch up, and they have to catch up, and they've done things, and this is not the easiest decisions to make in the world. So I don't want anybody second-guessing them. They've done an outstanding job. We all have to be proud of their accomplishments as citizens of Cook County. So again, what I want you to do is look into your heart. And if you can within the verdicts, please stay. But if you can't, I want you to leave, because there will be a zero tolerance at this time. Because I'm not going to have these people disrespected. And thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. All right. And anybody else? I know this isn't going to be easy, so I'm, asking you again to look at your heart. If you think you're not capable of this, then please leave, and we'll let you back in and have the court. All right, we all ready? And I want to get. Okay. What I want to do too is we've had members from the media, both broadcast and press journalists. They've just been fantastic. Everybody's been really outstanding. The reporting on this has been very important because we need transparency, and especially in a case like this. And I really want to compliment the media chairs. They've just been great. They've been very cooperative. We had a great session the other day with the 2 jurors, the ultimate jurors that were excused, and we were allowed, to have the interview with them. I'm going to see if we can get another interview going with the rest of the jurors and with our wonderful alternates here. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate your interest, and again, thank you for the press. You've been outstanding. All right, read the jury up.
All rise for the jury.
You guys will bear with me. I'm gonna fix the audio here in just a second.
We good? Okay, thank you. Will everybody please be seated? Will the fourth person please rise? Has the jury reached verdicts?
Yes, they have.
Thank you very much. Could you give Jessica the jury verdict forms and just have a seat? Appreciate that. I like your jury, you're wearing them like necklaces. That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain certain things so you'll understand the verdicts a little bit better. All right, the charges in this case were first-degree murder, 16 counts of aggravated battery, and 1 count of official misconduct. There also, the defense had asked for the instructions in the jury verdict form on second-degree murder. Let me explain the process here. Before anybody can get to second-degree murder, the state must prove each and every element of first-degree murder. There is no bypassing that and going directly to second-degree murder. As pointed out by one of our wonderful professors, Professor King, who's in the audience during his lectures, second-degree murder is a combination of first-degree murder plus a mitigating factor. It is not really technically a lesser included offense because it demands another set of proof, which would be the proof by the defense or the defendant going forward by preponderance of the evidence. So, with this understanding, we would please read the verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of second-degree murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm.
Before anybody can get to second-degree murder, the state must prove each and every element.
Okay. Hopefully, I took my my muffle, not my muffler thing, but my sound dampener off of here, so hopefully it should be a little bit easier to see. But I know that's the whole effect, so I can, you know, it looks like I'm reaching actually into the screen or whatever. But nonetheless, what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to start it at about the 6-minute mark, so you guys can hear the audio a little bit better. So I'm going to mute the audio from the video, and I'm going to actually play it externally. So you guys ought to be able to hear it better. And the reason I know you can't hear it is because I can't hear it through my phone. So I'm going to play it from the 6-minute mark and see how we do.
Both broadcast to alternate jurors that were excused, and we're allowed, you know, to have the interview with them. I'm going to see if we can get. Could you give Jessica the defense going directly to second-degree murder? Elements of first-degree elements of.
So here we go.
First-degree murder. There is no bypassing that and going directly to second-degree murder. As pointed out by one of our wonderful professors, Professor Kling, who's in the audience during his lectures, second-degree murder is a combination of first-degree murder plus a mitigating factor. It is not really technically a lesser included offense because it demands another set of proof, which would be the proof by the defense or the defendant going forward by preponderance of the evidence. So with this understanding, will you please read the verdicts?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of second-degree murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the def We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of second-degree murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, first shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, second shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, third shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, fourth shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, fifth shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, sixth shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, seventh shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, eighth shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, ninth shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 10th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 11th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 12th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 13th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 14th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 15th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of aggravated battery with a firearm, 16th shot. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, not guilty of official misconduct. 12 signatures.
At this time, Mr. Herbert. All right. Can I have the attorneys over here for a second, please?
Let me see.
Thank you.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, do me a favor, guys.
Mr. Herbert.
Hit that thumbs up for me, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is, a new experience for you, but when anybody has been convicted of a criminal offense in the state of Illinois by a jury trial, the person that has been convicted has an absolute right to poll the jury. This was a remedy decided by our Illinois Supreme Court, and the purpose of this is in case somebody was forced to sign a jury verdict form in the jury room. And this gave that individual the opportunity to be in the public and say, no, this wasn't my verdict form. So it's an absolute right. So the question will be, was this then and is this now your verdict? Meaning, was that then in the jury room and is this now your verdict? So at this time, Tony?
Yes. Juror 240, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Juror 241, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 242, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 243, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 244, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 245, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 246, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 247, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 248, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 249, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Juror 250, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. And Juror 251, were those then and are these now your verdicts? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, John and Jessica, will you take our wonderful people of the jury and our 3 wonderful alternates back to the jury room, please?
All rise for the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please be seated? At this time, I'd like to express my appreciation for everybody who participated in this trial, and also for the public that are here today. I know, depending on what side that you really favored, it wasn't easy for the excuse me, for this verdict to come in. And I appreciate what your restraint that you used today. It makes me very proud to be a citizen of the city of Chicago and also the county of Cook. So thank you. At this time, state.
Your Honor, at this time to state, we move to revoke defendant Jason Van Dyke's bond.
Mr. Herbert.
Judge, we would ask that the motion for the state to be denied. We would ask that, in light of the fact that my client is not found guilty of first-degree murder, we would ask for a bond review. In the alternative, we would ask if we could come back next week for a bond.
Mr. McMahon.
Judge, I would object to that. The defendant's been convicted of 16 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm. Those are Class X felonies. The mandatory minimum sentence is 6 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, with a maximum of 30 years on each count. Given that he now stands before this court as a convicted felon, I ask that you revoke his bond.
All right, bail will be revoked. All right, I'm going to order a pre-sentence investigation.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you, Megan, for clarifying that.
All right, order court, October 31st, 2018. All right. Visit. No. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Court in recess.
All right. Somebody asked why wasn't he handcuffed? It looked like he was, but I don't know that though. I don't know that for a fact. But again, like I say, guys, do you guys consider this a victory? High course.
Eric, I'm in the middle of this scrum now. As it was silence throughout as the judge was reading each count, as those counts were being read off. But right now there is eruption here. The crowd has gone absolutely nuts. There was small cheers throughout, but this is absolutely erupted as soon as the judge wrapped up in the court. We've actually seen cars coming by honking their horns. But as this was going on, we're going to actually follow the crowd here. They're marching down 26th here, because we've seen a number of, obviously, cars, people who've been listening to it, but clearly a lot of celebration as Jason Van Dyke was convicted of second-degree murder and aggravated battery, among other counts. But you can see flags waving out here, chants of justice for Laquan going out. I'm going to let you hear it for a second. And I'm going to try and talk to some people here.
Again, I want to know from you guys, do you guys consider this justice? Has justice been served? I think in this one instance, in this one story, maybe. Maybe, and that is a big, big maybe. The reason I say that is because of the fact that you still haven't stopped the bleeding. It's just kind of like if you had a hole in your boat that's the size of a cannonball, but you're sticking Band-Aids on it. Like your boat is still going to sink. The black community is still sinking when it comes to this boat of losing black lives and killing each other and all of this stuff. I don't think it really matters at this point. You know what I'm saying? I feel like what the officer did was egregious for sure. I know some people might feel a little bit indifferent about that, but I'm going to tell you something. I've told you guys this before because we've had firearm talks on this show before, right? You guys know I carry a gun. I keep it on me all the time, always within arm's reach. And I'm going to tell you guys this. If it were a citizen compared to a police officer, I've told you guys this before. If citizens are going to be held to the standard that every single shot that you shoot from your gun, you are held accountable for. If it ricochets, hits somebody else, hits somebody's property, does any level of damage outside of hitting your target, even if it goes through your target and hits something else. As a United States citizen that has a license to carry concealed and open, trained to use a firearm, we are still held to the standard of every single bullet that leaves our gun. We are held accountable for it. Right? We've talked about this with Devontae Clark when he was shot 21 times, right? Which I felt like was way damn too much. They shouldn't have shot him at all, but they did, and they shot way too many times. It's egregious. In this case, shooting that man that was not coming in your direction. He wasn't listening. A lot of people don't listen to the police. That don't mean that they need to die because they didn't listen. Maybe they didn't hear you. Whatever the case is. But it doesn't justify taking a life. In my opinion, when you have a life and death situation, you better know beyond the shadow of a doubt. There better not be a blinking idea that something else could have been done before you take a life. The reason I say that is because that's how citizens are judged, and I think that police officers should be judged for doing their job the same exact way. A person might ask, no, well, it doesn't, does it really matter how many shots were shot? I think it does, because I think it tells a story. It tells a story of what was in the person's mind. What was your intention? Your intention was to kill this man. Your intention was not to stop him. Your intention was not to prevent a threat. Your intention was to take his life no matter what. 16 times and you shoot him on the ground. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for that fucking bullshit. There's not. Not now, not ever. If we're going to be held to that standard, then goddammit, then police need to be held to that standard also. But at the same time, I'm fair on both sides. I also say it doesn't really matter because you win this battle, but you're losing the war when it comes to black lives being lost. Because black lives in the city of Chicago are still being taken at a high rate by other black people. How can we expect for anybody to care about black lives if we show zero reverence for our own lives, our own safety, our own children? We show that we don't give a shit. In turn, other people look at us as, well, you don't give a shit about your house. Your house is dirty, it stinks, it smells bad, it's dilapidated, it's falling apart. Why should we take our shoes off in your dirty ass house? If we take our shoes off in your house, our feet are going to get dirty. That's the way they look at it because that's the way we treat ourselves. That's the message that I want you guys to understand, that Chicago wins this one battle but loses the war when it comes to black lives. Okay? Let's continue to keep going. That's why I didn't even bother reading the stories or anything, because we got a lot more video coming up for you guys, okay? So let's go. Let's keep going.
And making the right decision and locking Jason Van Dyke up and let it be a message to every Chicago police officer. Do your job the right way or you can join your party. Justice for Laquan! Justice for Laquan! Justice for Laquan! Justice for Laquan!
It's a tilting point right now. Holding police accountable for basically conducting their jobs with the integrity that they took an oath for. So now we're gonna have, going forward, police thinking twice about being trigger happy. Police thinking twice about being aggressive and brutalizing suspects simply because they had a power to it.
Guilty on conspiracy. Van Dyke! Guilty. Guilty on conspiracy. Guilty on conspiracy.
What it means to a black mother on the South Side, it means that you can't kill our children with impunity. That they need to understand that daily use of force is not the first step. That's what it means to me.
For your brother, your sister, your mother, your father. Justice for our people. Just for the people. They're not satisfied because the system is guilty for being complicit with the cover up. It took them so long to even come up with this guilty. We don't. We are happy that some justice seem like it's being served, but we're not going to be through with that because it's just some tool that they use. They use him as a fall guy. So the struggle still continues to so many countless other victims of this police terrorism that's going on, not just here, but the whole country.
This is why I hate these activists. I'm telling you guys, I hate these activists. This dude right here sounds like a freaking idiot to the rest of the world. Maybe he doesn't sound like an idiot to some people in the black community. It sounds like he's talking a whole lot of sense to some people out there. Maybe you guys can be honest with me. Let me know in the comment section. Is this guy, what he's saying, makes sense to you? Because it doesn't to me. Because he lives in a city and he's watching his relatives, his friends, his family, maybe his brothers and sisters. Maybe this is something he grew up in also, but they're watching the violence culminate among black people, and they are not standing their black asses out there and standing against those criminals, those thugs, those hooligans, those gangbangers. They're not saying a damn thing to them. They're not going in their hoods and marching. They're not going out there and shutting their streets down and shutting their highways down, shutting their drug operations down. They're not stopping any of that. They're not having conversations with these dudes. They're doing nothing. Armchair revolutionaries. They rather take the easy way out. It's real easy to sit there and hop on TV and talk shit about the police. That's easy. That's nothing. Why? Because everybody hates police, apparently. But it's so funny how if a black man shot this fool right here, if a black man shot this fool right here, who are they going to call? Ghostbusters? No. They're going to call the fucking police, the same police that they claim to hate, that claim that they want to see every black man dead in the streets. No, I'm going to tell you guys something. You want me to tell you what it is? You want me to tell you why Jason Van Dyke didn't see Laquan McDonald as a human being? You want me to tell you why? Because how can police officers, hear me out, how can police officers see Laquan McDonald as a human being when he's dressed in a hoodie, dressed in jeans, tennis shoes, as well as all the other thugs, gangbangers, criminals, drug pushers? These criminals in Chicago don't look any different from each other. They all look the same. And if you think about the fact that they have zero reverence for their life because he wears the suit of the criminals that live there, he has the disguise of the criminals that live there, he has the skin hue of the criminals that live there. He fits the profile of the criminals that live there, which the majority of the murders that happen against black on black violence, black on black crime against black people goes unsolved. Why? It ain't that they don't want to stop the shit. It's the fact that blacks have this no snitching policy. Y'all niggas got this stupid shit called no snitching. So we're not going to tell the police. We're not going to help them stop the violence. They just better figure it out on their own. Let them do their job. Like them fools out there in Florida tried to tell me, making videos and stuff. Let them cops do their job. Let them cops do their job. They do their fucking job. They're trying to arrest the dude. They're giving a dude instruction. They don't know what he has in his hand. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But he looks very similar to the same niggas that's in the street killing each other and killing anything and everything. When you have these fools on Facebook Live, when you have these fools on Instagram Live, when you have these fools on Snapchat that are literally saying that we don't give a fuck about anything and nothing and we will kill anything and everything. What's the first thought that's going to go through your mind when you engage a suspect that fits that kind of fucking profile? If it were you, what would you think? I'm not on Jason Van Dyke's side. Sorry, there's no excuse for shooting someone 16 goddamn times that has not shot a shot at you and has not returned fire. I'll say that again. Not excusing the cop, because there ain't no excuse for shooting somebody 16 times if they, 1, didn't shoot at you, number 2, did not return fire. Simple concept. Very simple concept. But you guys have to have discernment. You have to see things through for what they are. Both sides are culpable. Both sides are culpable. Right? For whatever reason, that this young man that they portray as this high school graduate with his cap and gown on and portray him as the quote unquote victim, what is he in the street for? Number 1, in the middle of the night. Number 2, why were the police called? Number 3, point number 4, why is he armed? Number 5, why is he not responding to the police? Number 6, why is he high based on what people said? I don't know if that's true or not, but if he is, cool. If he's not, cool. Whatever. But not responding to the officer's command, meaning at some point he was not in the right mindset. When it comes to dealing with the police and the authority, if we know that there are these horrible people, like people try to depict them to be, then you have to act accordingly. You handle court, you don't handle court in the street. That is something that my father taught me. You do not handle court in the street. You got a problem with a police officer, then you handle it in the courts, you do it the legal way, or you don't do it at all. Stop challenging police in the fucking street. That is a battle that you guys know that you aren't equipped to win that war. You're not equipped to win it. You can't go out there marching in the goddamn street and think that police are going to just change their mind whenever they decide to make a rash decision. Sorry, it don't work that way when they're the ones in control of who gets the information, who does the investigation, who has control of the tapes. When it's very easy to just erase technology. The tape didn't have to show up. They're the ones in power. They could have just burned it, deleted it, ruined it. They could have did anything. So should they not get some credit for at least having some level of a moral compass and show the people what actually happened on tape? Because at the end of the day, it is not a computer system that runs the United States of America. It is human beings. And human beings are errors in their ways by nature. Everybody got me? Let's keep going.
The whole country. We got peace today.
Oh, peace.
We got peace today. I feel good about the verdict. I have no respect for John Van Dyke, whatever his name is. I got no respect for him. He's a poor example of all those people who work for the Chicago police that does the same thing. He's a poor example.
As quick as these black men are out here getting on the police, why don't you get on to your sons? Get on to these young black men that come from the same type of homes that you came from. Fatherless homes. Get on to those black men on the south side of Chicago. Get on to them. Same way. Same way. Get on to them.
I find no satisfaction today. The only satisfaction I would have is if Laquan McDonald was still alive and people who look like me didn't have to fear for their lives every day, whether it be from police brutality or other means. We're going to continue to fight to fix this system and make sure people like me and others don't have to fear for their lives, and we have good conditions and economic prosperity just like the north side of Chicago.
Guilty. Van Dyke. Guilty. Van Dyke. Guilty. Van Dyke.
Man, I'm telling you, man, the retardation is real high, guys. It really is. And I'm just talking about the mindset. That's all. It's a very, very dumb mindset. It is the epitome of that word. The definition of that word is what people are displaying.
Back to that trial, a guilty verdict. A jury in Chicago has just found Officer Jason Van Dyke guilty of second-degree murder. He was on trial for the death of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. He shot 16 times back in 2014. You see him here as the verdict is being read. Originally charged with first-degree murder, but jurors were allowed to consider second-degree charges, according to the judge. The jury finding him guilty of that as well as 16 counts of aggravated battery. Joining me now, CNN legal analyst Areva Martin, and from outside the courthouse, CNN correspondent Ryan Young. Ryan, you have been covering this for years now. You even remember the protests that shut down Michigan Avenue. So today could have looked completely different if it was a different verdict.
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody was sort of waiting to see what happens. In fact, anyone who has a building on Michigan Avenue got a warning today about whether or not this verdict went any direction. They were ready to make sure they were able to respond. They had officers on 12-hour shifts to make sure there was an additional 4,000 officers who could respond to any problems throughout the city. But we now don't have to figure that out anymore because we know the verdict went the way that protesters were hoping that it would go. And I wanted to show this behind us. These are the small group of protesters who gathered outside here of the courthouse. And there's another group that's on the inside who's actually doing a news conference as we speak. They're talking about how they want to see changes inside the police department. They hope this is the first of many changes that will happen. Of course, we talked about the fact that the superintendent who was in charge at the time actually was fired, and there's a new superintendent. All officers now carry tasers. There's body cameras. So that's been the conversation. I do want to say this. The defense team also spoke just about 5 minutes ago, and they were saying at the mic they do plan to appeal this case. They feel like Jason Van Dyke ran up against a brick wall, that the climate wasn't right, that there was no way that he was ever going to get a not guilty verdict here in the city, and they want to do a change of venue. So they're already having that conversation. In fact, the defense team is saying they don't believe any officer can do their job in the city if this moves forward the way it is. The people on the other side see it a different way. They think he went too far. And of course, it all comes down to that video and what you believe. Jason Van Dyke says that Laquan McDonald was moving toward him. And of course, when you watch the video, there are some people who say they didn't see that. So it depends on what happens next. But I think there is a sigh of relief from some people here in the community when it comes to the idea of there's going to be any unrest at all.
I want you guys to also remember this. If this might not even be the end of it. If there is an appeal that is presented and the court accepts the appeal, then this process could start all over again, and he very well might get off anyway. I don't want you guys to just throw this away and just think this is the verdict and it's over and done with. Just want you guys to think about that. This might not be over. Mark my words, it might not be over.
Because so far, most people have been cheering, not only here outside the courthouse, but at City Hall and other locations throughout the city.
Yeah, Ryan, stand by. I want to bring in Areva to discuss just that, the appeal and change of venue. Areva, the prosecutor saying, look, her name Jody Gleason, there is no justification for the shooting of Laquan, saying not one shot, not the first shot, not the 16th shot. And we see that, she said, on the video. What do you think the chances of an appeal going through here and a change of venue?
Not very likely that he will be, that's Jason Van Dyke, Susan, will be successful in appeal. Look, this is what happens. When a defense lawyer loses a case, when his client is found guilty, it is not uncommon for the first thing to come out of their mouth is an appeal. They have an obligation to their clients to provide a zealous, defense, a zealous representation. So we would expect the defense attorney to say they're going to appeal this case. He hasn't cited to any errors with respect to the trial. He's talking about this general climate. And the reality is it's very, very difficult to get a guilty verdict when you prosecute a police officer. So contrary to what he's saying about how the jurors perhaps were persuaded by this climate that we live in, the climate has always been favorable to police officers. It's been very difficult to get
body cam, Areva, since the body cam. Do you think since the footage and body cams have come about that it's kind of leaning in the direction of getting the evidence? Because before it was the word of the officer. And in this particular case, I believe there's 3 officers charged with trying to cover up this in the police report. So this video was key here.
Absolutely, Susan. Video has changed the game in terms of police brutality cases, not just body cams, but bystanders, you know, cell phone videos we've seen, play a critical role in a lot of these cases. But in this case, yes, it was the video that contradicted the testimony and statements given by Jason Van Dyke and other officers who've been charged with misconduct for lying about what happened at the scene of this incident. I think this is a great day for the judicial process because someone like Jason Van Dyke was found guilty on credible evidence. So it wasn't just the words of bystanders. It was 10 officers at the scene. It was a videotape that captured what happened that night. He's free to file an appeal, but I don't think that appeal is going to be successful.
And that's what we are hearing outside of the courthouse. Is Ryan still with us? Ryan, I understand they had 4,000 additional officers, and I heard you say they cleared out the courthouse too with non-essential workers. They made them leave for security purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. You had schools in the area getting ready to go on lockdown if this went a certain way, and there were people talking about, and there have been games that have been canceled or games have been rescheduled throughout the school system here, so you understand that people worry. There's also a big marathon here on Sunday, so people were worried that people would try to stop that. But that's all changed at this point. Now the big conversation is how do you move forward and what happens next? And of course, a lot of people are now saying they want police reforms. They want long-lasting police reforms. But if you take it step by step, you have to remember this is the first police officer in some nearly 40 years in Chicago that's been charged with first-degree murder.
Yeah, and Laquan's family, we are expected to hear from them and get their reaction to the verdict. They're going to speak at 4:30 Eastern Time. We're going to take that as soon as we do hear from their family. And as we are hearing on the streets of Chicago today, justice for Laquan. Back to that trial, and guilty.
For the first time in nearly 50 years, a Chicago police officer has been found guilty of murder in an on-duty shooting. A jury today convicted Jason Van Dyke of murdering 17-year-old Laquan McDonald.
You guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. We got about 185 people watching. If y'all could, please hit the thumbs up. It'll share the show with other people. Thank you.
For the first time in nearly 50 years, a Chicago police officer has been found guilty of murder in an on-duty shooting. A jury today convicted Jason Van Dyke of murdering 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. The 2014 shooting, captured on a dashboard camera, ignited protests in the city and forced changes in the nation's second largest police department. Dean Reynolds is in Chicago.
The 40-year-old police officer with 17 years of service in Chicago's toughest neighborhoods was stoic as the jury verdict was read aloud.
Will you please read the verdicts?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Van Dyke, guilty of second-degree murder.
Conviction on a charge of second-degree murder plus 16 counts of aggravated battery for each of the 16 shots he fired into 17-year-old Laquan McDonald on that October night 4 years ago.
And now we could go home tonight and sleep knowing that Laquan is at peace.
Van Dyke shot McDonald 6 seconds after arriving on the scene, the only officer to shoot at the suspect who brandished a knife and refused to drop it. Having watched this dash cam video of the incident repeatedly and heard Van Dyke's pleas that he feared for his life, the jury declined to find him guilty of first-degree murder with a potential life sentence. This woman was the lone African-American on the panel, which deliberated for 7 hours.
We looked at all the evidence and we ruled on it accordingly.
Dan Herbert is Van Dyke's lawyer.
He was sacrificed by his leaders, by political leaders, by our supposed community leaders.
What? He said he was sacrificed. How? How do you shoot at someone 16 times and claim that they are being sacrificed? They are the victim of this system that tried to actually protect him and hide evidence and be very, very slow to put out this dash cam video. How is he being sacrificed? But that's his lawyer. That's his job. I get it. That's his job. It's his job, guys. I know. We got about 194 people. Can we get a thumbs up, please, from at least a few of you guys that haven't hit the thumbs up? I promise we'll go just over 200 if y'all will hit the thumbs up.
Accordingly.
Dan Herbert is Van Dyke's lawyer.
He was sacrificed by his leaders, by political leaders, by our
supposed community leaders, and it was all for one reason: to save themselves.
The case exposed deep racial divisions within the city and between the police and minority residents. The video came out a year after the shooting and only when a judge ordered it released.
Did you guys hear that? The video came out after a year. So why do you think that was the case? I'm gonna let that play again.
Police and minority residents.
Reason: to save themselves.
The case exposed deep racial divisions within the city and between the police and minority residents. The video came out a year after the shooting and only when a judge ordered it released. The episode tarnished the reputation of the mayor, cost the police superintendent his job, and forced increased oversight of the police department. Scattered demonstrations materialized around town, but the guilty verdict against the white officer appeared to cool passions. An acquittal would have stoked. His bail revoked, his life in ruins. Van Dyke was led away by deputies. A mugshot, his personal ticket to the county jail. That night 4 years ago was the first and only time Jason Van Dyke fired his weapon on duty, and now he could spend years in prison for it. Jeff?
Dean Reynolds, thank you. For the first time in nearly 50 years, a Chicago police officer.
Again, I don't care if it was his first time, his last time, his 50th time. I don't think it matters. Even if it was his 16th time, he should not have shot that dude. Number one, he should not have shot that dude that many times. And he for goddamn sure shouldn't have shot the dude while he was on the ground the way that he was. That is just egregious all the way around. Right? It really is. So let me see if I can get you guys this last video, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. Boom, got it. Thank goodness. Come on. Hold on, guys. I got another video coming for you guys. Give me just a moment. But again, if you guys would do me a favor and hit the thumbs up, it'll share the show with other people. Let them know that we are still live over here at the So Do You Dig. And I've got one more really cool video for you guys. Somebody said, racist police must be stopped. I feel you, but let me ask you this. Which would you, if you guys had to trade off? So let me ask Satchcat 7 Network this. If you had your choice to choose between police killing each other, we're going to stop police from killing black people, or you can stop black people from killing black people, which one would you choose? And I'm asking a very, very serious question for a very serious reason. And I want to know what the rest of you guys think. Achilles said cops are not above the law. I 100% agree with that. But a lot of times with those police being in those positions, they're going to do things that are in their best favor because they have the power, right? Don't you guys think that if we were in the position of power, that we would be doing things that are in our best interest and in the interests that are best for people that look just like us? Well, that's all that they're doing. If you guys really want that level of change, which is not going to happen until people start deciding to raise their children to start coming up in the law system, continue to start being police officers, continue to try to be judges, continue to try to be politicians, that's the only way that real change is going to happen. You can't expect for people that don't look like us to care more about us.
It's these tense moments from 2014.
Woo, that is loud in my ears. But what we can't do is we cannot expect for people that don't look like us to care more about us than we show about ourselves. Can everybody agree to that? Just want to know what you guys think. How can we expect for people that don't look like us to care more about us than we show the entire world on social media all the time, all day, every day, that we don't give a shit about black lives? So how can we expect for this man, Jason Van Dyke, to care about black lives when we show people like Jason Van Dyke every day that we don't give a shit? None of us gave a damn about Laquan McDonald before he died. Uh-oh, am I going to get flagged for that? Am I going to get flagged for that? I'll say that again. Nobody cared about Laquan McDonald before he was killed. Nobody. Is that going to get me flagged? I don't know. I hope not. Did you guys catch that? How many people were checking on his mental state before he was killed that are black? How many people were checking to see that he had money in his pocket before he was shot that are black? How many people were checking on him to make sure that he had a roof over his head, to make sure that he had a job, to make sure that he had an education, to make sure that he was being quote unquote uplifted so that he is not pushed to do fucked up shit in his life? What did his parents do to ensure that he didn't end up in a position like that? I can give you very clear examples of how my mother and my father did everything they could in their power to make sure that me, my brother, and my sister and my family did not end up in situations like this. How many of these activists were in Laquan neighborhood when he was growing up, were giving him advice, were mentoring him, and trying to protect him before he even got to this point? We got to start giving a shit about these kids before they are put in the hands of officers. I always tell people, if we know that the law is not in our favor, then what we do not want to do is continue to keep putting ourselves in vulnerable situations when it comes to the police. How many people can agree to that? If you guys are going to say that the police are racist, if you guys are going to say that this is what they do when they have our lives in their hands, if you guys are going to say this is what people like Jason Van Dyke do, then what you have to do is we have to start creating preventative measures. Does everybody understand what I just said? Or did that go over everybody's head? Preventative measures. How do you teach your children to not put yourselves in these situations? You don't hear about black women being in these situations. The only ones that are in these situations are black men. Police are not going down and gunning down black women in the streets. We are primarily talking about the black community. So let's separate the difference. This don't involve black women. Black women are not being sacrificed in the street. It's black men only. It is 100% black men that are being shot down in the street by people like this. And like this too, by the way, with masks on and all that shit. Let's not forget that. Right? By his own kind. It's black men that are suffering. So if we know that, and we know that the majority of these men that end up in jail, end up being shot by other thugs, and end up being in shot down in the street by police, and all of this stuff are coming primarily from single parent households, then why don't we put the equation together and say, you know what? Maybe single parent households aren't such a good fucking thing. You see how I always bring this back? That we need to have fathers in the household? You see how I always bring this back to show you guys that women can't raise men? They can't. It takes a village to raise a child. So why don't you think that part of that village and 50% of that child's DNA, the man, is important? Don't tell me that it's okay for mothers to raise boys, because it's not. Statistically, we're proving to you every single day. You can go to websites every single day that show you the data is telling you the shit don't work. Don't argue against facts. Don't argue against logic. You'll lose, and you'll continue to lose, and you'll continue to keep watching your loved ones die in the street to people that look like this, because all he sees and all he knows is what he sees every day, and he sees that black men don't give a shit about black men. Black men don't give a damn about black men. Black boys don't give a damn about black boys. Why don't they? It's because they see no value in themselves. They are black men. Black men don't see any value in themselves. So if they see no value in themselves, they don't give a damn what happens to themselves. They don't give a damn what they do and what type of danger that they put themselves in. In turn, if they don't care about themselves and they see no value in people that look just like them, if they look in the mirror and don't give a damn about what's in the mirror, then how can you expect for a person that has shitty ass self-esteem to turn around and go out into the street and treat people the exact opposite of how he treats himself? If he treats himself like shit, if he feels like shit about himself, if women around him make him feel like shit and they don't uplift him, while we're talking about uplifting the queens, how about we uplift the kings? Fuck uplifting queens, come on. They're uplifted. They are superior to men, and it is doing us a damn disservice. Anybody want to tell me where I lied? Can anybody in my chat right now tell me where I lied? I would love for anybody to point out a specific fact, a statistic that I said that was wrong. Name it, please. Anybody? Anybody want to challenge me on that? Don't wait until you get in my comment section and write a bunch of bullshit. Challenge me on the show when I'm live. Email me. Get on the fucking show and come talk to me and tell me where I'm wrong. Because if I'm not wrong, then what you need to do is take the information that I give you and turn around and use it in your community and start fixing your communities. The people that are responsible for fixing the community ain't the damn government, ain't the damn police, ain't the damn elected officials. If your neighborhoods look like shit, you go fix it. If your yards aren't cut, you go clean them. If your streets got trash every goddamn where, you and your people that look like you, that live in those shitty ass neighborhoods, y'all go fix it. Stop asking for everybody else to fix the shit that you can fix. Talk about some accountability for a minute, guys, right? We're going to get up out of here right after this last video. Thank you guys so much for joining the show.